I used to think I was doing everything right. Every morning, same routine. Same bowl, same chair, same small meal. A little oatmeal, maybe some toast. I told myself I was being sensible. Then one afternoon, I was carrying a bag of groceries from the car to the kitchen, a walk I had made hundreds of times, and I had to stop halfway, not because I was winded, my arms were shaking, and I thought, when did that happen? My doctor had a name for it, sarcopenia, and then she said something I have never forgotten. She said, "The muscle you are losing right now is not coming back on its own. You have to fight for it, and the fight starts with what you eat." I went home and I started researching. And what I found stopped me cold. After the age of 60, the average person loses between 1% and 2% of their muscle mass every single year. That sounds small until you do the math. By the time you're 70, you could have lost 10% to 20% of the muscle you had at 60. By 75, the numbers climb even higher. And here's what no one tells you. The standard advice, eat more protein, is not wrong, but it is dangerously incomplete. Because not all protein works the same way in an aging body. After 60, your muscles develop something called anabolic resistance. Your body becomes less efficient at using the protein you eat. So the food that helped you maintain muscle at 40 may not be doing the same job anymore. The protein threshold your muscles need to respond has gone up, and most people are nowhere near hitting it. That is the real reason people over 60 keep losing muscle, even when they think they are eating well. And that is exactly what this video is going to fix. Because I found 10 foods that are specifically suited to fighting sarcopenia in the aging body. Foods that go far beyond eggs. Foods that do not just add protein to your plate, but deliver it in a form your muscles can actually use after 60. We are going to count them down from number 10 all the way to number 1. And the food at number 1 is not something you have ever seen on a health food list. It is a traditional food eaten in coastal fishing communities for centuries, and researchers are now studying it specifically for rebuilding muscle in stroke survivors and elderly patients. Stay with me, because that one could change everything. Before we get into the list, I want to tell you about a man named Gerald. Gerald was 67 years old, retired, and by every outward measure, in decent shape. He walked his neighborhood every morning. He watched what he ate. He had no major health conditions, but Gerald had been noticing something over the past 2 years. Getting up from a low chair was getting harder. He started gripping the stair rail, not because the stairs were steep, but because he felt unsteady. He chalked it up to age. Everyone slows down, right? Then one Tuesday afternoon in his driveway, he stepped off the curb wrong and went down hard. He broke his wrist catching himself. And in the hospital, the doctor ran some tests and told him his muscle mass was dangerously low for his age. Gerald had been eating what he thought was a healthy diet. Yogurt, eggs, whole grain bread, the occasional chicken breast, but the doctor pointed at his blood work and said, "Your muscles are starving." Not because you're not eating, but because what you're eating is not getting through. Gerald asked what he should change. The doctor gave him a list, and every food on that list appears in this video. Gerald followed it for 12 weeks. He did not change his exercise routine. He did not take any new supplements. He just changed what was on his plate. And at the end of those 12 weeks, his grip strength had increased by 24%. His leg strength scores improved enough that his physical therapist called it remarkable. And Gerald told me something that has stayed with me. He said, "I thought getting older meant getting weaker, but I was wrong. I was just eating wrong." That is what this list is for. If you're ready to fight for your strength, this is where you start. Number 10. Chickpeas. Here's something that might surprise you. Cooked chickpeas pack about 19 grams of protein per 100 grams, already more than eggs. But the protein count isn't actually the reason chickpeas made this list. The real reason is a mineral most adults over 60 are quietly running low on: magnesium. Your muscles cannot contract and release properly without it. Research tracking over 150,000 adults published in the journal Nutrients found that people with higher magnesium intake had measurably better grip strength and muscle mass than those with lower intake. The gap wasn't huge, a few percentage points, but it held up consistently in both men and women. Chickpeas also contain resistant starch, a carbohydrate that feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your gut, and a healthier gut plays a real role in how well your body absorbs everything else you eat alongside it. To get the most out of chickpeas, soak them overnight before cooking. This reduces compounds that block absorption and helps your body actually use more of the protein you're getting. Blend them into hummus with olive oil and lemon. Roast them for a crunchy snack or stir them into a warm stew. Number 9 works on a completely different problem. Lentils. 26 grams of protein per 100 grams of dry weight, and one of the fastest cooking legumes there is. No soaking required. But protein isn't the headline here either. It's iron. Iron carries oxygen to your muscles, and without enough of it, your muscles can't produce energy efficiently. Researchers studying older adults have found a real measurable link between iron status and grip strength, one of the most reliable markers we have for overall muscle health. Here's the catch. The iron in lentils is non-heme iron, and your body absorbs it differently than the iron in meat. Pair lentils with a source of vitamin C, a squeeze of lemon, a handful of chopped tomato, a side of bell pepper, and nutrition research shows you can double or even triple how much of that iron your body actually absorbs. That's not a rounding error, that's the difference between your body actually using what you ate and that same food passing through unused. Red lentils cook in under 20 minutes and dissolve right into soup. Green and brown lentils hold their shape, which makes them better for a warm salad or a grain bowl. Number 8. Edamame. 18 grams of protein per 100 grams and all 9 essential amino acids, a complete protein, which is rare for anything that grows in the ground. But the reason edamame is on this list has almost nothing to do with protein, it's hormones. After 60, hormone levels shift sharply in both men and women. Estrogen drops after menopause, and estrogen helps protect muscle mass. Testosterone gradually declines in men, and that decline speeds up muscle loss directly. Edamame contains isoflavones, naturally occurring compounds with a similar shape to estrogen. Researchers studying postmenopausal women have combined soy isoflavones with exercise and found it may help preserve muscle quality during exactly the stage of life when hormonal change accelerates. Muscle loss, though, this is still an active developing area of research rather than settled science. Steam it frozen in minutes, eat it plain with sea salt, or stir it into a stir-fry or rice bowl. Quick check-in. Remember Gerald, the man who broke his wrist stepping off his own curb? At week 4 of his new plan, he wasn't lifting weights. He wasn't doing anything different at the gym. He just told me the stair rail felt less necessary. Small thing. He still grabbed it out of habit. But for the first time in 2 years, he didn't feel like he needed to. That's the kind of change we're chasing here. Not a number on a chart, a moment like that one. And we're only at number 8. The foods that come next do more, faster. Number 7. Greek yogurt, but specifically Greek yogurt with live active cultures. Between 10 and 17 grams of protein per 100 grams, and a rare combination of 2 proteins, casein and whey. Whey digests fast and triggers an immediate signal for muscle repair. Casein digests slowly and keeps amino acids circulating in your blood for hours afterward. Together, nutritionists call this a biphasic release. Your muscles get fed right away and then fed again for hours. A 2017 trial published in the Journal of Nutrition gave 48 older men, average age 72, either a larger or smaller dose of casein protein before bed, and found the larger dose produced measurably greater muscle repair while they slept. Muscle rebuilding doesn't stop when you fall asleep. The live cultures in yogurt also strengthen your gut lining, which affects how well you absorb protein all day long. Choose plain, no added sugar, and check the label for live active cultures. Number 6. Salmon. About 25 grams of protein per 100 grams, but that number barely explains why it's this high on the list. Salmon is one of the only foods that fights muscle loss on 3 fronts at once. First, protein synthesis. Salmon delivers all 9 essential amino acids in proportions that match human muscle tissue unusually well. Second, inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the main drivers of sarcopenia, and it gets worse with age. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition gave adults over 65 either omega-3 fish oil or a placebo for 8 weeks, then tested how their muscles responded to a protein-rich meal. The omega-3 group's muscles responded measurably better, not at rest, but specifically when given the raw materials to rebuild. Third, vitamin D and salmon is one of the few foods with a meaningful amount of it. Global research estimates that as many as 60% of older adults have insufficient vitamin D levels, and without it, muscle cells can't properly respond to the protein you eat. 2 to 3 servings a week covers all three. Before we go further, if this has been useful, hit like and subscribe to Nitro Wellness, because the next 5 foods on this list are where it gets genuinely strange. Number 5. Cottage cheese, and it's one of the most underrated muscle foods that exists. 11 to 14 grams of protein per 100 grams, almost entirely casein, the same slow-digesting protein behind that overnight repair research we just covered. Cottage cheese is also high in leucine, the specific amino acid that triggers muscle protein synthesis. Researchers studying older adults have found they typically need around 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine in a single meal to properly activate that switch, more than younger adults need, and a serving of cottage cheese gets you most of the way there. Eat it plain, layer it with fruit, stir it into scrambled eggs. A serving before bed may do more overnight than people realize. Number 4. And this is where the list stops being about protein at all. Pumpkin seeds carry 19 grams of protein per 100 grams, sure, but what makes them genuinely unusual is a mineral combination almost no other single food has: magnesium, zinc, and iron together. Magnesium handles the electrical signaling that makes muscle fibers fire. Without it, muscles get tight, slow to respond, slow to recover. Zinc fuels the enzymes that build new muscle protein. Iron carries oxygen into the muscle that's doing the work. That 3-mineral combination is part of why pumpkin seeds keep coming up in research on inflammation and aging muscle. Though exactly how much difference it makes in a human diet, rather than a lab, is still being worked out. Raw, unsalted, sprinkled over Greek yogurt, or blended into a smoothie. We're 3 foods from the top now, and I want to be honest with you about something. The next 3 foods are where the nutrition science gets genuinely interesting, but also where it's the least settled. These aren't foods with decades of research behind them like salmon or yogurt. They're foods scientists are excited about right now in real time, which means I'm going to tell you exactly what's proven and what's still being figured out. Number 3. Hemp seeds. 35 grams of protein per 100 grams, a complete amino acid profile, and gentle enough on older stomachs that it rarely causes digestive trouble. Hemp is one of the only plant foods that checks every box on paper. All 9 essential amino acids, good fats, easy to digest. Here's the honest part. Researchers who study protein and muscle health in older adults have specifically pointed out that hemp hasn't been studied nearly as much as whey or soy for this purpose. So treat hemp seeds as a strong theoretical candidate with real nutritional logic behind it, not yet a proven muscle builder with a stack of human trials to point to. No cooking, no prep. A tablespoon over oatmeal or blended into a smoothie takes 3 seconds. Keep them refrigerated and use them raw. Number 2. Spirulina. 29 grams of protein per 100 grams, up to 85% bioavailability, all 9 essential amino acids, and high in leucine. It doesn't look like much, just a blue-green powder. But what it does inside your body is hard to find anywhere else in the food supply. Spirulina contains a pigment called phycocyanin, found at meaningful levels in essentially nothing else you'd eat. A 2025 meta-analysis pooling 8 clinical trials found that spirulina supplementation produced a small but statistically real reduction in C-reactive protein, a key marker of inflammation, though. Its effect on some other inflammation markers wasn't strong enough to call definitive. Since chronic inflammation is one of the core drivers of sarcopenia, even a modest real reduction in it is worth paying attention to. Here's what I won't do. Tell you, spirulina has been proven to improve walking speed and grip strength in older adults with a dramatic clinical trial, because as of this recording, that specific trial is still underway. Researchers are actively running it right now. What we do know is the inflammation research, and the mechanism makes sense. To take it without tasting it, Blend a teaspoon into a smoothie with banana and nut butter. Stir it into warm oatmeal after cooking, or mix it into energy bites with dates and hemp seeds. And now, the food that made Gerald's doctor stop and reread his blood work twice. Number 1. Dried fish powder. Made by dehydrating lean fish, cod, pollock, tilapia, and grinding it into a fine powder, it's one of the most concentrated, rapidly absorbed protein sources that exists. 100 grams contains 60 to 70 grams of protein. That's more than 3 times what you'd get from the same weight in eggs, more than chicken breast, more than most whey protein supplements. And the protein itself is hydrolyzed, pre-broken into smaller peptide chains, which dramatically cuts the digestive work needed to access it. For older adults, whose digestive enzyme production naturally slows with age, that matters more than it sounds like it should. Here's the honest version of why it's number 1. Researchers in Norway have spent over a decade studying fish protein hydrolysate, specifically in older and frail populations, including nursing home residents in their 80s, because of exactly this: absorption speed and leucine content. This research is still in its early feasibility stage, small pilot studies rather than large definitive trials. But it's one of the most active, genuinely promising areas in sarcopenia nutrition right now. And that's exactly why hospitals are studying it for stroke recovery and bed rest rehabilitation. 25 grams of dried fish powder is estimated to deliver around 3 grams of leucine, based on its amino acid profile, comparable to what you'd need to eat 6 eggs to get close to. It dissolves in liquid, carries almost no taste once diluted, and stirs easily into soup, mashed vegetables, smoothies, or savory oatmeal. It stores at room temperature for months and needs no chewing, which matters for anyone dealing with dental issues or a low appetite. Look for a food-grade version with no added salt, no artificial flavors, no preservatives. So now you know the 10 foods fighting sarcopenia in ways eggs simply can't touch. Chickpeas and lentils laying the foundation. Spirulina and dried fish powder doing things at the top of the list that most people have never even heard of. Protein that actually absorbs, minerals that enable it, compounds that protect it, delivery speeds built for an aging body. Sarcopenia doesn't have to win that fight. Gerald is proof. The same man who once had to stop halfway up his own driveway, who gripped the stair rail out of fear, who broke his wrist stepping off a curb. He's 67 now, and last month he carried his granddaughter across the entire backyard without stopping once. That's what this is actually about. Not a chart, not a number. The ability to live your life on your own terms. So, which food from this list are you trying first? Tell me in the comments. If this gave you something useful, like it, subscribe to Nitro Wellness, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. Share it with someone over 60 who you care about. You might be handing them something their doctor never mentioned. This video is for educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for personalized medical advice. Talk to your physician or registered dietitian before making any significant changes to your diet.